We are more profitable than a $46 million company.
This is Amy and Dusty. They just made over $1 million in 30 days on Kickstarter with their 4th board game campaign. And the crazy part is, 3 years ago when they started, their dream goal was just $50,000. I sat them down to ask exactly how they went from that first campaign to running a business that now ships to 68 countries, has mass retail placements at Barnes & Noble, and operates entirely with just the 2 of them.
We build everything to be scalable.
Amy and Dusty started with 0 experience in board games 3 years ago. They've since launched 9 games, built a self-running business engine, and they've never gone into the red. In this video, they break down the engine system that turns each new product into automatic profit, how they've evolved their offer to nearly double their average order value, and the one business rule that's kept them profitable through 4 campaigns.
When you hear this, you will instantly be making more money.
I'll also be giving you a free audiobook copy of my best-selling book, Crowdfunded, that goes even deeper into a lot of these strategies, but more on that later. I'm Mark from LaunchBoom. Let's get into it. 3 years ago, Amy and Dusty had an idea for their first board game, Botany. They weren't industry veterans, they were wedding photographers who'd done 386 weddings and were looking for their next venture. When they came to LaunchBoom for their very first campaign in May of 2023, we asked them a simple question. What would be your dream amount to raise?
We said, oh, $50,000 would be great. That's still sort of true, where everything we do is scalable. So we make sure that the campaign is profitable at our MOQ.
That first campaign exceeded all of their expectations, but what's remarkable isn't just that they succeeded once, it's what they built after. Since that first launch, they've run 3 more campaigns, launched 9 total games, and just crossed $1 million in a single 30-day campaign. They have 7 games actively on the market, mass placements at major retailers, and they're even expanding into Australia. Even crazier is that they did it all as a team of 2 with just a handful of contractors, and they never lost money, not once.
Step 1, spend less money than you make, and step 2, there actually isn't a step 2, that's it. You have a healthy business, you're done.
So how did they go from a $50,000 dream to building what they call the engine, a system where every new product plugs into an existing infrastructure and automatically generates profit? Well, let's break it down. Too many creators see Kickstarter as the end game, but Amy and Dusty saw something different. They saw Kickstarter as step 1 of a much bigger machine. So how does Kickstarter actually fit into their overall business strategy?
Kickstarter still serves basically the same purpose. It funds the print run, which is a big thing because it frees up cash. So we have operating cash that we can use to print stuff whenever we need to, but funding it through Kickstarter gives us the basically funds the print run, which frees up cash for advertising, for other things, for printing additional games if we want to, more overstock.
And it kind of gives us a demand too for knowing how many to print.
Yeah, it helps us gauge demand. So we're printing more Endearment than we did Fleur. You're always still too hot or too cold, and we sold out of Fleur almost as soon as it hit the ground. So it didn't gauge it perfectly, but it helped.
So they use their Kickstarter numbers to predict retail demand. If they do 9,000 units on Kickstarter, they print 15,000 total, about 50% more. That overstock becomes their retail inventory. But Kickstarter isn't just funding and demand validation, it's marketing.
It's still one of the biggest marketing platforms on the planet when it comes to board games. And you just can't beat the showing people that it's out there, the hype and the fun of the campaign, of watching the thing grow and seeing how big it is. You know, you pre-order some stuff, you don't really know, like, am I the only person that pre-ordered this, or did it get pre-ordered by 10,000 people? Kickstarter just does a great job of that.
They've built such a strong following that 20% of backers return for each campaign. And those who don't, they're not lost, they're just buying through other channels later. But the real magic happens after the campaign ends, because that's when the engine really starts running. Their business engine is how they've been able to grow predictably and profitably, but they didn't build it all at once. They built it in layers, like an actual engine where each piece supports the next. Here's the framework they use, and anyone can follow the same path.
Step 1 is get your product on Shopify. You can have a Shopify site set up within a half hour. You can ship it yourself, or you can connect to a fulfillment center.
Once Shopify is running, they start advertising. They aim for a 2.5x return on ad spend, which keeps every sale profitable. This creates the foundation. They're selling directly, they control the customer experience, and they're making money. Step 2 is Amazon, and this is where it gets tricky.
Amazon is hard. It's like dealing with the DMV and the IRS, like had a wedding and their little DMV IRS baby was Amazon. It's so bureaucratic, but getting all this stuff done, getting all your compliance done. Once you get it listed on Amazon, now you have now you're effectively chain wide on Amazon. Anybody in the country can go and look at your stuff.
But here's the part that most people miss. You need to control your Amazon listing. They learned this the hard way.
We started selling to every distribution outfit on the planet, and they were selling to everybody who wanted to grab some on the planet, and some of those people were grabbing 50 copies and putting them on Amazon cheaper than we were, and basically damaging the MSRP, taking away the buy box from us. We lost about 80% of sales in like a given 2-week period when somebody else had the buy box.
Once they locked down Amazon control, they moved to step 3, distribution and retail stores.
We have mass placements at Barnes & Noble for Botany and Fleur and Artistry and War of the Posies.
Each layer builds on the previous one, and their Shopify ads don't just drive Shopify sales.
When we turn on ads in a given area, then the Amazon sales like instantly go up. And if the ads are off, then the Amazon sales go back down. So people see our ads, they go buy at Amazon, they go buy at Barnes & Noble, they go to their local game store and buy the game there. And so that's sort of all building on itself, with Shopify being the foundation.
This is the engine. One marketing budget, multiple revenue streams, and every new product plugs into the same system, and they're not done building. Right now, they're expanding into Australia, replicating the entire system in a new market. Okay, so we know that Amy and Dusty have this engine that they've built, but they don't just plug products into the engine, they've gotten smarter about what they're plugging in. Their first campaign, for example, Botany, it was simple. They had the base game plus a couple expansions. But by their fourth campaign, Endearment, the average order value had jumped from $69 to $112. How did they do that?
For Fleur, then we decided that we wanted to try doing kids games because we have 2 young children.
And they help design them, and the profit from those games goes into their bucket. And we ended up selling 1,500 copies of La Petite Fleur, which was surprising.
So they ran an experiment. They added a kids version as an add-on to test the market. 1,500 copies proved the concept. Once they validated kids games, they added them to subsequent campaigns. But the real breakthrough came with their third campaign, Artistry. They experimented with deluxification, creating premium versions of the base game. They went big, 3 versions total, including something nobody had ever seen before.
We did 3 versions, 2 deluxes, and the base game, the deluxe, and the jewelry box. The deluxe edition was great, but they sort of just ate sales off of regular Artistry, but the jewelry box edition was its own thing and went bonkers.
An actual jewelry box, leather embossed, acrylic board, fancy tiles, not just a game, but a conversation piece. And here's why it worked. It didn't cannibalize base game sales. People bought both. They'd keep the jewelry box pristine for special occasions and play the base game regularly.
We had people buy both the jewelry box edition and the base game because that way they can keep the jewelry box edition pretty and get it out for special occasions, like for the queen when she comes over, but then they play the base game when they're just, have their, like playing after dinner or whatever.
So once they figured out how to make a jewelry box, it wasn't nearly as hard to do it again for Endearment. They'd built that capability into their engine, and they didn't stop there. On Artistry, they also tested a small box game called War of the Posies as an add-on.
War of the Posies was just ready. So we thought, okay, well, we're gonna print it at the same time as Artistry to make sure we have the freight efficiency there, but we might as well just make it as an add-on on the campaign. And that by itself ended up selling 2,000 copies with only a little bitty graphic.
They even started making puzzles just because Amy wanted to design them. Those became another revenue stream. By Endearment, their offer had evolved into a full ecosystem. Base game, 2 expansions, jewelry box edition, kids version, puzzles, metal coins, something for everyone at every price point. But here's the critical advice for first-time creators.
The best thing to do is start with your game, do an expansion or 2 if you feel comfortable with it, and then think about an accessory upgrade. So like for Botany, we did metal coins. Well, that's a lot easier because a percentage of people who buy the base game will buy the coins. It's easier to sell them than it is a deluxe edition later on because it's just a smaller add-on.
Start simple. Test one thing at a time, learn what works, then add the next piece to your engine. One of my favorite engines to talk about is the launch engine, which is something I go into detail about in my best-selling book, Crowdfunded. You can get the audiobook and digital copy for free by following the link below. Just tell me where to send it. Now, back to Amy and Dusty. You might be wondering, how did 2 people manage all of this? 9 products across multiple countries, mass retail, e-commerce, Amazon, advertising, customer service. The answer? Strategic contractors, but only where it makes financial sense.
You do it where you're still profitable because it always starts with making sure you do not have permission to lose money. In the beginning, you might need to DIY some of that stuff. When you come out of Launch Boom, you know how to run ads. Corey is just better at it. And we have enough sales and Corey is able to do enough spend to justify us spending on Corey doing it.
So at the beginning, they were running their own ads, but as revenue grew, they could afford to hire a contractor to run ads better than they could. Return on investment just made sense.
If you're coming cold turkey and you only have 300 units of one product, it would be better to run your own ads because your spend is going to be lower as you're building. And over time, as you build sales, those sales will give you more money. And when you have more money, you'll be able to buy more product. And when you buy more product, you'll be able to get more sales. It kind of builds and builds and builds and builds and builds.
Here's their current core contractors. LaunchBoom handles their launches, Corey handles advertising, Chris Woodward from Golden Goose helps with retail and mass retail sales, Miniature Market fulfills US orders, Zatu handles UK and EU fulfillment, Kagan Production creates their Kickstarter videos, and a couple editors review their content. But Amy does all the graphic design, and Dusty handles most of the business operations, and they both do customer service.
I'm Chief Customer Service Officer during Kickstarters. I will probably be answering customer service emails at like 8 o'clock tonight, and I pass out at like 8:30. And I will get up tomorrow morning and I'll start answering customer service. So
another key insight, start with fulfillment. That's the first place to outsource.
Amy and I figured out, what if we did all our fulfillment ourselves? We would have to turn around an order in 53 seconds in order to do it ourselves. And when I say turn around an order, I mean the pallet. We got the pallet, we moved the pallet, we took the thing out of the pallet, we dealt with all the cardboard and plastic from the pallet. We took that thing, we put it into a box, we taped the box, we printed. I can't even print a label in less than 53 seconds.
Fulfillment scales. Even at 30 orders a month, a fulfillment center makes sense. It frees up time to design the next game, run the next campaign, build the next piece of the engine. One thing that surprised me in this conversation was how their customer acquisition strategy has changed. Not because they changed what they were doing, but because the market changed around them. On their first 3 campaigns, Botany, Fleur, and Artistry, about 25 to 30% of their traffic came from paid ads. The rest was organic Kickstarter traffic, window shoppers browsing the platform. But on Endearment, something shifted.
For Endearment, whatever's happening in the world right now, the organic lift, the random window shopper on Kickstarter was down. Our ads were still running great. Our ads still had a really high return on ad spend. Everything was great there, but the ad-directed traffic made up over 50% of the campaign. And on Botany, it was only 30% of the campaign.
Kickstarter as a platform is in a bit of a slump for games. Organic traffic is down. Some of that might be from high-profile project failures, companies going out of business, general economic uncertainty. But here's what matters. Amy and Dusty didn't panic. They didn't change their strategy. They just did more of what was already working.
It doesn't really matter to us because if we don't control it, we don't really talk about it. We just talk about like, what can we do to work with what we have in front of us. The advertising has never stopped to be a part of it.
What did change? Well, they've built a fan base. 20% of backers return for each campaign. They have 4,300 people in their VIP Facebook group, over 20,000 Instagram followers.
So that fan base now, we're showing them, hey guys, we have a new game. Lots of people come in, they back it. We have lots of people that are signing up to be our pre-campaign, purchase a pre-campaign mini expansion and be VIPs.
And the ones who don't back the campaign, they're not lost customers.
At first I was like, oh my gosh, like how are we losing all these people? Why aren't they coming back? Well, it turns out that they just go and they buy it through our Shopify after it comes because they know that we're going to deliver it.
Not everyone buys every single product.
Yeah, I love Warhammer, and even I don't buy all that Warhammer makes. People are limited beings. They can only play so many games. They only have so much money.
So their marketing now is multi-layered. Paid ads that work across all channels, a growing organic audience, email lists, social media, VIP communities. Every campaign strengthens every channel, and it all feeds the engine. So yes, Amy and Dusty have a really cool story, but one of the coolest things about it is just how they think about business. They've run 4 businesses total and never had one of them go in the red. How?
You do not have permission to lose money. The steps to having a healthy business are step 1, spend less money than you make, and step 2, there actually isn't a step 2. That's it. You have a healthy business. You're done.
Yeah, this sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but it's radical in a world where founders are told to invest in growth, to scale fast, to disrupt. Amy and Dusty don't play that game. They play their own.
There is no emotion. There is only math. If you're selling at $60, we know that it costs $7.60 to ship that thing FBA. We know it costs about $2 to ship that thing into FBA. We know that the unit cost was, say, $10, and that there was $1.50 of ocean freight, and that we had to pay a tariff on that. Take all those things combined, and it says, all right, well, every time you sell a $60 game on Amazon, you're making $40.
They know their margins on every single transaction. They know their fixed costs. They know exactly how much they can spend on ads and still be profitable.
And I meet people who sell things on Amazon, and they're like, oh, I lost $100 this month. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Why did you sell all those things? You could have done nothing and had $100 more than you currently have.
This mindset extends to everything. They only print what they can afford to print. They only expand to new markets when the foundation is solid. They only hire contractors when the ROI makes sense.
I find people a lot of the time think if I only spend a little more on advertising, or if I only buy a little more of this, or if I only go to that conference and drop $20,000 on a bigger booth, that they think they're gonna break through some invisible wall that is preventing their product from making more money. But it turns out that if you sell one thing a week, you can be profitable on a transaction level.
They also told me that there's this really big board game company right now that made 46 million in revenue last year, but they also lost 8 million.
You know who made more money than that today? Me and Amy, because we sold 5 things on Shopify. We are more profitable than a $46 million company.
Amy and Dusty are proof that you can build a $1 million business without venture capital, a big team, or losing money. They went from wedding photographers with a $50,000 dream to running a board game company that ships to 68 countries by building an engine, one piece at a time, and never spending more than they made. Now remember, you can get the audiobook version of my best-selling book crowdfunded for free by clicking the link below. Just tell me where to send it. Also, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe for more stuff like this, and I'll see you in the next one.